Welcome everyone to game number 3 of the MSL Masters Division Semifinals here in the winner's bracket. We are watching a really good series actually here between the red Zerg player in the top left-hand corner of the map ocnLogan Wastes, Jardozer, and his now Protoss opponent in the bottom right-hand corner of the map in the light blue, Kloud. So here, this is it's an extension of a map that was available in Wings of Liberty towards the end of the ladder. So it's a map that everyone has a lot of experience on. The only real difference here is that you have Pride Rock on this version. You can knock this down and then wall this off completely. That's pretty much the only difference, as the original map, ocnLogan Wastes, not ocnLogan Flats, only had this. So you could still wall this off, but it was a little bit more difficult. So because of this, you have this really narrow choke into the main, a really small choke into the natural. You can easily take down these rocks and take down these, and then have a walled off third, which means that this map generally seems to lend itself to a little bit longer games. It's a little bit long distance around there. Another thing to point out is that there's lots and lots of air around here. Look at this ledge right here. Oh my goodness, so much space. That means drops, mutas, anything revolving air is super awesome. And while I'm talking, Kloud goes ahead and does something absolutely absurd. Proxy 2-gate. He's got to get himself back in this game, in this series, and he's going to go and do that with Proxy 2-gate. We're going to see probably 4 Zealots making their way in just a moment. He's got to be careful. Yeah, he's got to make it seem like he's worried about his opponent getting that base down, but in all reality, he does want that down. He's just got to make sure that his Zerg opponent doesn't scout these. Ooh. Oh my goodness, that's close. Okay, are we going to see the chrono boosting? There's the chrono boosting. Check it out. Spending all that chrono boost, no more worker production, not at all. He's stopped right at 13. All of the minerals are going straight into that. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness, okay, it gets revealed a little bit early. That was actually delayed, and now his opponent actually has a lot more minerals than he needed. He's going to throw down 2 of those spine crawlers and try to survive this. I actually think he has a pretty good chance. Those 2 spine crawlers went down very early. He does have that pool down early because of that block, and that Zealot is actually going to be taken down quite quickly. And look at the micro there, only getting 2 kills. It's a little bit less than you usually see a Zealot make. We do see additional, oh no. No rally point on here. Means that the unit pops out anywhere they'd like to. This Zealot got stuck. That's super annoying. See, there's the rally point. Now he's doing it. And now we do have additional worker production. He knows that this is not going to kill his opponent, as he did react to it early enough. I think actually if he'd not placed this down, or if he hadn't done as good a job blocking it, I think he would have been able to actually allow his opponent Jardozer to place that hatchery there, and then I think he probably would have macroed a little bit harder. And that would have worked out a lot better for Kloud. Although, not a really big deal, as he's actually up in Harvesters over that of his opponent. Those panicking spine crawlers. Ooh, good placement here. Nice. Gonna just wall him off. Love to see that, actually. Just gonna try to do what he can to be super annoying and make it take even longer for his opponent to expand. Even pulling off both the queens, it's going to make it harder and harder for those queens to get back and do larva injects on time, further causing problems for the macro. And it looks like he's actually going to go ahead and try to do a counterattack here, as he sees that there's nothing here. This could actually be a really big problem. Zealots are uber slow. Of course, there's nothing back home, although there are these 2 spine crawlers. So he needs to finish off this wall ASAP. Is he going to cancel stuff? Is he going to cancel stuff? He needs to get that down. This Cybercore. There's a forge. Oh, the units do make their way in. There are some additional Zealots on their way, so this is not going to be too bad. He might get a cancel on this Nexus. If he did, that would be a big deal. He might actually do it. He needs to throw down a cannon here to be able to help deflect these Zerglings as they run away from these Zealots. But the Zealot's making short work of most of those Lings. But I think he will actually get it to go down. It's going to be very close. And does... Oh my goodness, he doesn't quite get it. They're going to go and try to make their way into the main, which they will completely do. They're going to get a couple worker kills, as that's a decent number of Lings. This sad Zealot, he wants to use his lightsaber hands for good, but he can't. That was super close. He's got to be worried about this this counterattack. The shields that had regenerated are now on their way down. He's going to use those probes, going to try to get those lings cornered in here. He's continuing to build things. He does have both of those gas geysers on their way. It's really important while you're doing all this crazy macro, or this crazy micro, that you can actually micro successfully to be able to not lose everything. And see, this cannon needed to go down much earlier. That's a really big problem. I think he actually is going to lose this Nexus. That is such a big deal. Pull it off, pull it off. He's just going to lose that Nexus. Big deal there. Although the expansion for himself is only just barely down. And so now, having accomplished his plan, he's now leaving. If that cannon had been finished earlier and perhaps walled off there, he could have negated a lot of that. Ah, so sad. A whole bunch of Zealots that were forced out now going to go ahead and run their way across the map. And is he going to re-expand? Or is he just going to... Oh my goodness. He's floating a lot of minerals still. It could happen. But if he doesn't, this is a big deal. A whole bunch of Zealots trying to keep together. They don't want to get surrounded by the Zerglings on every side. They're going to get a lot of kills, but the Zealots will in fact be cleaned up. And now everything is back to the same old, same old. It's amazing how crazy early games can sometimes lead to exactly the same mid games, just delayed by a whole bunch of minutes. This is a relatively close to what a Forge Fast Expand looks like, minus a Nexus. There needs to be a Nexus that's going down right now, and the Zerg just now barely getting those 3 hatcheries up and running. And so with the early game shenanigans, it looks like Kloud actually was on the poor side of that engagement. And it's actually just barely by the value of that Nexus. If he'd kept that Nexus up, I think he would have been very much so in an advantage at this point in the game. But he is no longer, as he's going to lose both of those. It's a little bit of a failed proxy 2-gate. However, not terribly executed. It was just very well reacted to, so you can't feel bad about that. We do see 4 gates now. Yeah, weird game. I agree. But it's actually relatively stabilized. I really like how he's continued to just play very much normal, even after all that craziness. Need to see when he's going to, when Jardozer is going to be throwing down all of those those gas geysers, as he really needs to start getting that income. There, now he's starting to do that. We're going to see some additional ones as he needs to start teching, as he's quite low on tech. Oh my goodness, okay, I think he does see this. Yes, he does. Some of these sentries. The sentries cannot attack? What's going on here? Okay, now they can start tickling down all of these Zerglings. There, they are, in fact, going to push those back. And that might actually be considered a favor in some circles. You never quite know. The Forge is getting those upgrades started, so he's going to have an upgrade advantage, which is super important with Zealots, as now Zealots 2-shot Zerglings. That's a big deal. Instead of 3 shots, they do 2 shots. You don't care about upgrades unless it reduces the number of hits it needs to kill something. And against Zerglings, that is huge. Your Zealots will all of a sudden munch through 33% more Zerglings. And now you can actually move out against this number of Zerglings. In fact, with proper force fields, you can actually get all of those and move your way across the map. That would have been excellent, but it does not appear that that will happen. Production, we don't see anything else crazy. I need to see what additional tech is coming out. We have a 6-gate. That means there should be some tech coming out soon. The 6-gate means that you're saving up some money for something else. Generally, of course, he is a little bit down on workers compared to where he would normally be because his Nexus got focused down so soon. And that proxy pylon will be saved. Oh no, it's going to be taken down. It's going to be taken down. Force 3 force fields out. Still got it. It's from that one Zergling here in the middle, actually. That was what did it. Oh, 2 Zerglings. Painful. But we do have the sentries. There's no immortals, though. This is not an immortal sentry all-in. And we do see additional production behind this. So just got to be careful. Doesn't want to get a full surround on any of these units. Going to be saving that sentry energy for when he really needs it. Stalkers, a few of them do go down. A few more Stalkers coming in. He's going to put down some more of those force fields. He needs to block those Zerglings away from those sentries. He does, in fact, come back to the battle to be able to do that in time. And it looks like Kloud is going to be forcing lots more units out of Jardozer than Jardozer wanted to do. He wanted to keep macroing, but he was able to put on some of this pressure to get things done. I'm surprised we don't see a Mothership Core, so he has the ability to recall this army, as he is committed with all these forces. He's done quite well with them so far. But the Mothership Core is really what allows the Protoss to be aggressive this early in the game. Of course, it's not actually early, it just feels early because the game reset 6 minutes in, is roughly what happened. The additional gas geysers are down, and where is that extra tech? Oh, here comes the Mothership Core. He heard me. I know that's not true, but I just want to say it. No more tech. This is a little bit worrying to me from Kloud. Although, if he's going to stay in this series, he needs to make this game work. He needs to do something. He needs to make something happen. His opponent is now down to the same number of bases, which generally, if you're playing against a Terran opponent or Protoss, that's totally fine. But because he's Zerg, that actually means he's a little bit behind because he doesn't have enough larvae to get too much done. And look at the number of workers; it's actually equal. Now we see the Templar Archives, or the Twilight Council, coming down, and a robotics facility. Okay, so we do see continued tech, and it's no longer just staying with the gateway tech. That's a very important point to notice, actually. Gateway units are really good until they get into the late game, and because there's no splash damage. And they're expensive-ish, because they're Protoss. So that's a really big deal. He is starting to get that additional tech. Looks like he might be going, it's hard to tell. He's got not very much gas income. Twilight Council's probably, yeah, for Blink, there it is. He might be going for Immortals after seeing all of these roaches. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. Needs to get those force fields down. Wants to section off some of those roaches, get some of them for free. The Zealots here are just going to get focus fired down. I actually don't like that at all. Those are a whole bunch of free units that could have just stayed behind. But the Sentries and Stalkers, ooh, he needs to get some force fields down. He needs to snipe those down. Oh, the Time Warp being very helpful. Really awkward force fields there. The Stalkers are going to be able to do a decent amount of damage there. And where is the Immortal production? No, he's just going to do it all with Stalkers. There's the Immortal. Here comes Blink is on its way. I don't believe it's being chrono boosted. No, it is not. But the Time Warp here really allowing these Stalkers to continue microing against these faster roaches without that Blink. Ooh, focusing down a sentry, that's always painful. And Jardozer has successfully deflected this attack, but at what cost? He does have some upgrades on their way. They are both going to be finishing up here, so 1-1 is done for both of the players. And everything's kind of stabilizing here. There's no expansion here. There's this base here. There's no expansion over here. He's looking for those expansions. Doesn't see anything. He's going to be retaking his base as well while he's got this map control. For those of you that are lower league players, please take note of all the things that these higher league players are doing correctly. While you know your opponent is contained, expand. Trying to keep active out there on the map. Okay, those Immortals are going to be super useful. 2 Immortals are worth like 8 Stalkers easily against roaches. He's going to be trying to take that base. No, he's not. I think he's going to commit to this 2-base aggression. The income tab. Now Jardozer is actually a little bit behind. Remember, staying on those 2 bases with only... well, he even had a macro hatch, and he's still having a hard time producing units and having enough income to do very much of anything. So, Zerg players, remember, take that extra base. You need it. I know Jardozer knows that he needs it. He's just having a hard time because Kloud is doing an excellent job of preventing him from doing so. We're going to see some forward pylons. I would not be surprised to see some additional gateways helping wall this off a little bit, especially because once you have the income from another base, you can support those gateways, as you really need to be able to replenish the units that you lose very quickly. Immortals, very powerful, but you only have 1 robotics facility. And so if you have a big engagement and you lose lots of that, you need to be able to replenish units really quickly. And so a lot of times you see lots and lots of gateways, like 10, 15, 20 gateways towards the end of the game, as they have that money in a bank. They just need to rebuild super fast. Those sentries not getting the greatest force fields. They could have done a little bit better. The Immortals having to focus fire down on some things like Zerglings that they didn't want to. However, with the force field, the Time Warp, it does appear that Immortals are just amazing, and they're going to chew their way through things. Lost 3 of them, but how many does this guy have? How many kills? 11 kills. Almost all of those are roaches. Super important. ignoring all of those spine crawlers, I really like the placement there, but if your opponent decides to run past him and tank the damage in the meantime, that is painful. And is he gonna... Yes, he should recall out of there, or is he just gonna lose that immortal? No, it's Broodlings, so he should be fine. And doesn't even take any damage, although now it's gonna be taken down. Instructor... Oh no... In fact, he's going to be fighting him with all those drones. Jardozer's a little bit frustrated here, I'm pretty sure. Checking for some additional bases, some Zerglings trying to take down some Stalkers. That's very brave, but I don't think they're going to get too much done, especially with Blinky Stalkers. Continuing to try to retake bases. And, wow, Kloud still has the worker lead, although he is starting... when I say starting, he has completely mined out his main. Both players have. The natural is starting to run dry. A little bit. We're about half resources on each of those, but there is this other base all the way up and running for Kloud, although he's not started mining gas at this point in time. That's a little bit bad. Hydralisk Den on its way. It's going to try to add some non-armored units to fight against those immortals. Is this +3? Oh, just +2. Ooh, that was +3 for a moment there. I'd like to see some aggression with Kloud right now with the recall. Go ahead, force your way in. See, look, Pride Rock shoots down, keeps your units nice and safe for a good while longer. I'd like to see some additional aggression out of Kloud. Right now, Jardozer is behind. I think pretty much definitively. Zergs generally need to be 20-30 food ahead before they can actually win engagements against high-tech Protoss armies. This isn't the highest tech, but Robotics Support Bay is on its way. And right now Kloud has almost a 60 food advantage, well, a 50 food advantage. So that's a big deal. The creep spread is actually getting to be pretty good from Jardozer. He knows he needs that advantage to be able to get the wraparound on all those units. But I really just think with the Mothership Core and his recall ability, he could just go and commit to some sort of an attack. The Hydralisks are just barely starting to get out onto the map, and as long as he keeps that Mothership Core alive, he's going to be completely fine. The Mortals are exposed. They get super surrounded by Zerglings. He's going to try to keep that down. Force field his way in. Oh, some additional Protoss units not making their way through that force field. And it looks like this base is going to be munched up and gone. Going to re-force field things. Doesn't want to have any surprises coming his way. At least not yet. He's going to take down most of those other drones. And it looks like Jardozer's trying to set something up. He's just going to try to go down here. There are no Colossi on the map yet. And there goes the recall. That's exactly what he needed to do. Here we go. Excellent job. Okay, it looks like Kloud might be making a comeback here. He's with a kind of a failed early Proxy 2 gate. Worked his way into a weird mid-game, but one that Kloud has been doing pretty well with. Once the Colossi come out, I think the next push will probably be the last, as there's not anything high-tech enough out of Jardozer. The food counts is starting to equalize. He's only down by 30 at this point in time, but there's no hive tech, there's no swarm hosts, there's no infestors, and there's no vipers. That's the key. Swarm hosts are actually terrible defensive units. Vipers are really quite good if you have something to pull them into, much like this group of units right here. So we're going to see if Jardozer can find something to pull himself out of this situation. I'd actually really love to see something like a Nidus Swarm. There's so much space over here. I don't think he doesn't have vision over here. We cannot hold. He might not have vision here. No, he does, just barely. I'd like to see Nidus Swarm. The Hydras are a little bit slow without their muscular augments. But you can use the Hydralisk anyway if you use Nidus networks and Nidus Swarms. So that is something I would like to see. You got to pull your opponent all over the place if you try to get an advantage, or to try to get an advantage. The Protoss Death Ball is super effective all in one place, but they can't be everywhere at the same time. So mutas, Zergling run-bys, anything like that could really cause lots of problems. We do see Storm being researched. There are 2 more Colossi. Is it double Robotics Bay? Oh yeah, it is. Look at all that. And there are those gateways that I said might come down to help wall this off. This is called SimCity in the StarCraft world, not to be confused with SimCity 2000, which was an awesome game, by the way. Look at this new SimCity crap. Old school. A whole bunch of High Templar with not quite enough Oh, maybe they do have enough energy for Storm. They do. They have Storm. They have 3 Colossi. And this next engagement is going to be painful. Is there no Overlord? Oh, there's no Observer here. That's a little bit strange. I don't know if it's going to matter, though. Jardozer's doing what he can. He's got a huge supply of gas, actually. But without that really high tech, see, here comes Hive. Doesn't really have lots of ways to spend it other than something like Mutas. And against this number of Blink Stalkers, that's not really the good play. Although a small number of Mutas would be super annoying, as there's nothing defending any of these mineral lines. Although I don't think that would really prevent this Death Ball from coming and attacking. The food counts are now almost exactly equal, and now we'll get to do a little exercise that we call imbalanced attacks. Okay, here you go. Storms, a whole bunch of storms, a whole bunch of Colossi, and we're going to watch the foods as they go down. Some Zealots and Force Fields, and wow, 150 supply to 105. This is what I mean when high-tech Colossi, or Protoss armies meet mid-level Zerg armies. It's very, very imbalanced. So that's why Zerg players generally need to have a higher food count, as even if you are totally maxed on Roach Hydra, it's actually, you're behind against an all-the-way upgraded Protoss Death Ball, such as this. But it's really common to do, it's really easy to do when you are feeling a little bit behind, as you need to get something out to defend. It's just something, if, like Roaches and Hydras, doesn't actually buy you too much unless you have amazing engagements or your opponent totally flubs all of his storms and force fields. So, good job, Kloud. Bringing it back. We're going to be 2-1, so that means the series does continue. This is a best of 5, so hopefully we get to see another 2 games out of these amazing players. We'll be back in just a minute.